All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Legacy podcast. I'm your host, Jason Grubert. Jumping right into it today, but explaining why we're doing things a little bit differently. Usually we just do the podcast, but today we want to add the video with it too, because today's a big one, man. Today we're going to go back and we're going to talk about why and how my business of Legacy Motivation got started, and why and how you can take something that has drastically changed your life, and whether it be good or bad, how you can take it and use it and push it to help you be successful in whatever it is that you're doing, and how you can take something personally now that was perceived as a negative situation and change it for the better, right? And that negative situation that I just kind of listed to was lost my dad. I lost my dad when I was 21, 10 years ago. And there still isn't a day that doesn't go by where I'm not thinking about him, where he's not incorporated into who it is that I am. And this business that I have created, Legacy Motivation, is because I wanted to be inspired. That's the whole purpose of what it is that I'm doing. That's the purpose of why I want Legacy Motivation to be successful. But it's using that him as a fuel, that negative place that I was in when I had lost him, and not know where to go or how to do things, or as a young man trying to develop myself without really the father figure that I wanted, how to push myself to be where it is that I now so proudly of. But that is through the trials and tribulations and the steps and the stages of me learning and experiencing and going through those hardships, man. And that's what life kind of ultimately is all about in its essence. But when you're in the thick of it, when you don't understand, like I didn't, 10 years ago, like I still don't sometimes to this day. There are, of course, days where I wake up and I don't understand why my dad's not here, but that is, you know, half a second of half a moment within that day that I don't understand that, because the totality of where it is that I am now. Would I have ever thought 10 years ago that I'd have a business? No. Would I ever thought that I would have the beautiful relationships that I have with people nowadays because of what it is that I had to go through? No. But understand that, once again, these are the trials and tribulations of life, my personal life. But that gave me inspiration to want to be inspired when I didn't know what it was that I didn't know. And so I developed and created this as a platform to be able to give others inspiration, and being able, when I talk to people, to inspire them to say that when you're going through stuff that is really, really hard, and the loss of my dad, like I said, still affects me to this day. Now, thankfully, I see it better, but that is incumbent upon when I was going through these things, how to create that and how to develop that. And over time, it took me to get to here. But when you're in these places of not understanding, man, you got to really understand that you're not going to figure it out in half a second, in half a moment. It's not going to happen. You got to understand that there's a bigger picture here at play, and this bigger picture that is always going on in your life is is creating you to be who it is that you're supposed to be. And that may not always think that it is what you want, but the bigger picture of where it is that you're supposed to be is always the lesson that it is that you have to learn. And that's not easy moment to moment. But once you start understanding and seeing why things are happening in your life, the longevity of what it is that is your life, you start to understand. And over time, like I said, you start to develop these things. And oh, okay, this is happening, so I can choose this path instead of that path. And that's really what life comes down to, is being able to choose, right? I chose to, negatively stay in that space of not understanding or trying to figure out the world when I lost my dad, because as a young man, I didn't know how to be a man without a father figure that was so influential in my life. But over time, like we're saying here, like we're talking about, that development, and how I became my own personal young man, is how you create who it is that you want to be. And so these ideas and the reasons of what life is trying to show you, you have to really use and utilize and incorporate it for you, because that is my personal life. But whatever struggles and whatever things that you're going through, that's incumbent on you to figure out. And there's always people that are, in similar situations. There are always people that have kind of similar stories and similar ways of going about how to create things, so you can always bounce ideas off of people. But at the end of the day, how you choose to develop that for you, that's going to be what's going to affect you the most in life. And the more you take it personal, not in terms of, things are coming at you, but how you develop it for yourself is going to be how you impact the world. And ultimately, what I decided to do was take this thing that was so hard for me, still is to this day. There are still, once again, days where I wake up and I don't understand why it is that my dad isn't here to see this. But I know that he's looking down on me, smiling and shining, and saying, "Wow, Jay, congrats on your business. Congrats on being able to have those relationships you now have with people." I know that, but that took developing over time to get that. So that's not going to happen, the day after you lose someone or something bad happens to you where you have to try and figure that out in the immediacy. But developing these things over time and ingraining it into the sense of who you are is going to create whatever world that you want to create. And so that was my inspiration. That is the reason behind why I created my business. But that was personal to me. And so that's how I chose to go about it. How you choose to go about whatever it is that you're going to do, or whatever it is that the meaning for something is to you, is how you have to develop it for yourself.